Thank you, Brittany, for allowing us to speak today on behalf of the team from Employment and Employer Services, representing LWS 7, which is governed by the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. We are thankful to be speaking today. We will be speaking about doing things differently during COVID-19. Next slide, please. Once again, good afternoon. Our team is glad to be here today to share information about how we transitioned our services in the wake of COVID-19. My name is Charles Townsend. I'm the Center Director for the Mid-South American Job Center, which is located in Chicago in the Bronzeville area. It has been a team effort at Employment and Employer Services to make transition and to brainstorm about how we could best serve our customers, who we know have a significant need for our services at this moment. I'm joined today by two of my other colleagues at Employment and Employer Services, Ms. Amelia Jackson and Mr. Dennis Bird. Amelia Jackson, could you please give us a quick overview in your role and experience?
Absolutely. Thank you, Charles. Welcome, everyone. Once again, I'm Amelia Jackson. I am the business services representative located also outside of the Mid-South American Job Center on the south side of Chicago. Simply put, I'm a job developer. I work with employers, companies, businesses throughout the Chicagoland area to employ the job seeker who are our customers. And we could make those connections with them to make sure they are in not only the right job opportunities, but with the right career opportunities. So I am excited to be here and to share a little bit more about what I do with our job seekers. Thank you, Charles. Should I pass it on to Dennis?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Amelia. My name is Dennis Bird, and I am an associate career coach at the South Suburban Cook County American Job Center. And for the past year, I have been the host of the virtual WIOA orientation, simply put. And I'll hand it back over to Charles so he can continue with some basic information about E&ES and the services that we offer.
Thank you, Dennis. Next slide, please. All right, the objectives, what we're going to cover during this presentation. Okay, we're going to provide information on how we have transitioned into our virtual services. We're going to offer insights into our virtual orientation process. And in addition, we're going to discuss how we prepare customers for our virtual interviews. Now, before I get to that, I want to actually start with Employment and Employer Services mission, which is actually right above my head with the background. But our service delivery is guided by our mission, okay? E&ES is dedicated to fostering human dignity and advancing the economic foundation of communities by providing excellence in career development, human services, and partnering with businesses and cultivating a skilled workforce. We strongly feel the opportunities and supports available to us, to individuals and businesses, have a direct impact on the strength of our local communities. We strive to be part of efforts that advance equity, promotion, and inclusion in workforce development and business services. So those are the things we're going to work and we're going to talk about in detail. Next slide, please. Okay, doing business differently during COVID-19. And just to have a conversation, we could think back in the last 13 months it's been, I'm sure that we can all agree it's been quite a ride. Okay. At Employment and Employer Services, we became aware of the potential for the stay-at-home order in Illinois the week of March 16th of 2020. The news was confirmed that when that order was issued that Friday, March 20th, which ended up actually being our last day in the office where we operated as normal at that time, we basically came up with a plan. In a matter of days, our leadership and our management here at E&ES worked together to get all our staff set up to work remotely. Our president and our CEO, Larry Fitzpatrick, initiated a weekly town hall meeting to convene us in a new mantra of doing business differently during COVID-19. Our goal since then has been to adjust our service delivery model. We're not eliminating services for our customers, but we're finding new ways to deliver them or eliminating services, to make it easier for them. It's not been perfect, but like everyone, we've been learning along the way. So it's still a work in process, but we've come a long way from since COVID-19 started. We're at this time, we're seeing how resilient our customers are. We're finding out how resourceful our staff is, and we're evolving with the demands of the times of each week. I know when we first started, it was a madhouse. I mean, my colleagues can attest to this. For years, we have been doing things in person, and in a matter of seconds, we had to just tear everything down and put together a virtual process to work remotely. And that was within a blink of an eye. Okay? During COVID-19, in spite of its many challenges, has presented some opportunities, believe it or not. We've been able to work much more collaboratively across our WIOA programs and locations, and to centralize the way we're offering orientations and job readiness training. Okay. Next slide, please. A blended in-office remote and work model. Once again, a lot has changed since March of 2020. Okay. At Employment Employer Services, we actually evolved from a work model, we were working in the office, to a hybrid in-office remote work model. Whereas hybrid, some people are in the office some days, some people are home some days. So it's a hybrid. Or we're not open to the public. Our staff back in our office are on basically staggered work schedules. At most of our locations, we can offer services in person when needed. Those services are by appointment only, and public health protocol is always observed at all times. Okay. Next slide, please. We had an immediate need to get our orientation online. As we all know, the first step in taking advantage of WIOA services is going through an orientation. Okay. We know the need for a virtual orientation and process was critical early on. Our phones were constantly ringing off the hook, and our inboxes were full of requests from people who had lost their jobs and wanted assistance. So actually, we worked with our funder, the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, to develop an online orientation process. We continually tweaked our process and learned how we can be more efficient within that year. And I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dennis Bird, to explain in greater detail on how we're delivering that virtual orientation. Dennis Bird has been a key player in offering our virtual orientations. He's offered them in person at the South Suburban Chicago Cook County American Job Center prior to the pandemic. At this time, he now offers them twice a week online, and our customers' first point of entry into the WIOA program when it comes to coming through Employment Employer Services. So at this time, Mr. Dennis Bird.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next slide, please. So the first step, as we can see, is marketing. And what we have seen is that the pandemic has moved us forward in our outreach to job seekers and businesses. What was once done mainly face-to-face is now almost totally virtual. Over the past year, we have tried a number of new platforms and virtual outreach mechanisms. There are a lot of opportunities out there to reach people who are not aware of our services, especially through social media. We regularly post on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn about our online events, info about current job openings, tips for job seekers, and success stories. We also like to cross-post helpful information from partners and local agencies. Our regular posts have helped build our social media following significantly on all of our platforms. We have been using Facebook ads to conduct targeted outreach through the use of ads. The ads are relatively inexpensive and enable us to target based on geographic area, interests, occupation, and other demographic data that Facebook tracks. For example, if we know we have a job opening in a certain zip code, we can run an ad for a few days to Facebook users within a 20-mile radius who have listed the industry as interest or have noted that they are looking for work. In addition to social media, we use a mass email service to send out 2 weekly emails. The first is sent out every Monday morning and includes a rundown of all of our online events for the week. We also include a success story each week to offer some inspiration. Our second email is sent every Thursday. It is our hot jobs report. In it, we feature several hot jobs from one of our business services representatives like Amelia. An example is at the right of each hot jobs report we sent featuring several jobs Amelia is currently placing for. The report also includes some tips and advice for job seekers. And lastly, we have revamped and relaunched our website earlier this month. If you have time, please visit eesforjobs.com. On our new site, our new site was developed with a single-click approach. Our goal is to get users the information that is most helpful to them in one click. We added our virtual events calendar to our homepage and made it easier for users to register with one click because our calendar has been the most popular aspect of our website since the pandemic hit. We also integrated Spanish translation into our new site to ensure Spanish-speaking users are able to easily find information. Next slide, please. Our virtual orientation content and process. So the content of our virtual orientations pretty much remain the same. The key changes have come in the process for customers post-orientation, and we also made changes to the survey link. We are intentional about explaining how services are offered virtually to manage customers' expectations. We are also very clear about timelines and how customers can expect to move through the process based on their goals. We know many of our customers are under a lot of stress right now, and we always strive to be mindful of that. We offer as much information as we can to try to be clear as possible about the program, how we can help, and what is required of customers. Next slide, please. All right, virtual orientations to date. So we are still offering orientations twice a week. You can visit our calendar for the dates and to register for the orientation. We still staff for the dates and times in an effort to make it easier for job seekers to find a time that works for them to attend the virtual orientations. And we'll give a quick rundown of some numbers. So I believe that when we did this last September, I believe the virtual orientation attendees were at about 1,200. So now, as you can see, we're at over 3,300. So we've almost tripled that number of attendees. The job seekers complete and post-orientation survey is 2,736. And E&ES American Job Center enrollments in WIOA are at 1,031. We look forward to the opportunity to continue enrolling customers. This is an opportunity for us to really demonstrate our mission and commitment to those we have served. Next slide, please. So these are some lessons that we've learned along the way. A large number of our customers are interested in training through an ITA. Uploading enrollment documentation is a challenge for many. Social media and online recruitment efforts are critical. There are a lot of job seekers and businesses who are not yet aware of our services. And we must continually learn and evolve our service delivery. So I would be happy to take any questions about our virtual orientations at the end of the presentation, but for now, I want to hand it back over to Charles.
Thank you, Dennis. Next slide, please. All right, shifting to a virtual job readiness training. First of all, let me give a big thank you to Dennis Bird. He's been totally instrumental in getting this virtual orientation process going, and he's worked collaboratively with our staff across all 4 AJC locations that are operated within E&ES to coordinate the needs of customers. So once again, kudos to you, Dennis, on your hard work. From the onset of COVID-19, we had to rethink basically on how we offer our customers job readiness training and how we're going to prepare them to interview, given that many are now conducted virtually. At the onset of the pandemic, we added financial literacy and wellness workshops to our online offerings. Our financial literacy workshops are offered through our nonprofit partner, The Journey Forward, through its Money Talks program. The Journey Forward team includes certified financial capability coaches who offer online workshops on a variety of pressing financial topics, including budgeting through a financial crisis, managing debt, outstanding banking, and managing student loan debt, that sort of stuff. In addition to online workshops, anyone interested can get a one-on-one financial coaching consultation, which is offered virtually. We're fortunate to have them, to have the team of licensed clinicians on the Employment and Employer Services staff who have done a great job creating wellness content for workshops over the past year. The workshops, they address a lot of current issues that we face today. Parenting during the pandemic, self-care, exercise and healthy eating, substance abuse, mental health, and among others. While financial literacy and wellness may fall outside of the scope of traditional workforce programming, we've had a great response to those online workshops. We know that we serve dealing with a constellation of challenges right now, and the more support and resources we can offer to address those challenges, the more job seekers we can focus on getting their job search and achieving success at their job. All of our job readiness training is now online, and you can see our calendar, which is on our website once again, so you can see the topics that we cover. All sessions are open to the public and are live, so participants can actually interact with career coaches and get real-time answers to their questions. Today, we're going to focus on one aspect of our job readiness training in particular, how we're preparing customers for our virtual interviews. So I'm going to hand it over at this time to Ms. Amelia Jackson, one of E&ES's business services representatives, who's a member of my team at the Mid-South American Job Center. Ms. Jackson was on top of this essential need for our customers immediately after the pandemic hit. She began offering virtual interview workshops to our customers in early April of 2020. So at this time, I will hand it over to Ms. Amelia Jackson.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much, everyone. Can we go to the next slide for me? Thank you very much. When we talk about JRT, job readiness training, especially in this environment, we must understand what's going on in the environment, what has taken place since that beginning of the pandemic. And what has taken place was a shift from in-person interviews to virtual interviews. And that's not just about interviews, that's how we interact with each other. So our job was to prepare our job seekers, prepare our customers to be able to learn how to pivot and utilize certain resources to pivot in order to land the jobs and the opportunities that they were seeking to obtain. And so we work collectively as a group, career coaches, business services reps, the entire team, because it's a full spectrum, it's a full package that we offer our customers in regards to this package. And this particular offering, virtual interviews, comes with our job clubs. I was able to implement the Landing the Job, How to Land the Job Virtually series, in which it was a series of how to lead up to those virtual interviews, how to make sure that you are ready as it relates to your resume, how that resume translates into the application, and how that application translates into virtual interviews. So we want our customers to be confident in those particular interviews, but you gotta be confident with your resumes, and you have to be confident as it relates to those applications to get to those interviews. So that preparation is key. But there are certain things that we experience. We talked about this a little earlier, and I attended some of the workshops that was earlier, which talked about barriers. There are barriers that many of our job seekers had to overcome. And some of those barriers are dealing with technology. There are 3 tiers that we cover in overcoming technology. Okay, we'll get to that in the next slide. But we wanted to make sure that our customers understood what barriers they were faced with. We wanted them to get comfortable with certain type of virtual platforms such as HireVue. And what are the new expectations of employers? We wanted them to understand, put your mind in the mindset of a recruiter. How do you overcome whatever you are going through as it relates to what is the recruiter thinking? Well, you have to put your mind in the mindset of a recruiter. So how are employers, how are companies thinking during this time? Next slide, please. So there's a lot of coaching that goes on. A lot of coaching that goes on. But first, a part of that coaching when we're experiencing a time of uncertainty is understanding where we are in this environmental landscape. So going back to what I was saying earlier, overcoming technology, 3 tiers. There are 3 tiers that we discussed as an organization, and even at Mid-South. 3 tiers for the digital divide. There is a digital divide that's happening right now as we speak. That means that the job seekers in which we're servicing, many of them don't have access to proper technology, proper equipment, internet service. They're doing everything on their phones. You can't land a job totally with just applying online through your phone. You're going to eventually have to have a laptop. You're going to have to utilize certain type of resources to work, especially if it's a remote job opportunity. So those 3 things that we try to help our customers as it relates to uncertainty for the digital divide is hardware. We have an understanding that everybody doesn't have access to the same type of hardware, such as your laptops or computers. Internet service. Everybody may not have access or can afford internet service that will help them have a broadband that is going to be like us being able to utilize Zoom during this summit. And then learning and knowing how to use certain platforms, such as Zoom, or like we mentioned earlier, HireVue. Understanding that those 3 tiers are really key to helping our customers or our job seekers is really going to set the precedence, is really going to set the standard for how we move forward with the ones that we are trying to serve. Once we get a clear understanding of that, you can move forward and help them the best way you can. You can work with employers in saying this person has this, that, and the other, or they don't have access to this, and can we work with them on that? But you have to work with each person, each customer, each job seeker to identify what it is that is a barrier to them. And certain things that we go through in regards to technology, it also reflects in, okay, so what is it that you want to do as it relates to your work? You have to identify, you have to work with your job seeker to identify what it is that they want to do. What is your end game? What is your job opportunity? What is your career goals? How do you pivot from one career to the next? You know, making that transition may be key. So now hospitality is now opening back up. Retail is now opening back up. But a couple of months ago, our job seekers had to pivot. So how do you do that? What is your game plan? What we do is we outline, we work with them on how a game plan can look. We identify intelligent risk. What are intelligent risks? Those are risks that one takes that, okay, this is in alignment with what I'm currently doing. So if I'm in manufacturing and I want to go into IT, how do we take those type of intelligent risks? How do you take that leap? And it really is a leap of faith, but how do I take that leap? Well, you have to identify what in manufacturing did you do that equates to IT? What in manufacturing did you do that equates to information technology? And that's how you scale up your resume. That's how you format it so that when you go through the ATS system, the automatic tracking system, it pulls out those keywords and it sends you to the recruiter because now you have something that they can work with. That's taking an intelligent risk. I recently had worked with a former IT executive who was trying to figure out why is it he was not getting the callbacks from the companies that he was applying to. He was saying that it could be age discrimination. And I took a look at the resume and I said, there's nothing on your resume that truly identifies your age, but what can stifle you, what can keep you from getting to the next level in IT is what I don't see is your progression in IT. If you are stuck in AOL and AOL was 1990s and it is 2021, what your resume is saying is you're stuck there. You don't want to go anywhere else. I can't hire you. That has nothing to do with your age. That has everything to do with where we are as far as AI and artificial intelligence, where we are with Scrum, Agile. You don't have that. That's why I'm not hiring you. And we have to be, as job developers, as career coaches, as those who are helping the job seekers, we have to be honest with them and take an honest assessment of where they are and work with them to get them to where they need to be. That's taking an intelligent risk. So yes, we are teaching our customers how to identify industries and occupations that are viable right now in the job market. What's hot? What is hot right now in the job market? What can you do based off your experience or what you know you can do that you can pivot to this particular industry or this particular occupation? You have to work with your customers and your job seekers so that they have a clear understanding of the map. You have to help them map it out, but they have a clear understanding of where they're trying to go, because it makes it a lot easier for them to apply to the right type of positions and to get the interviews and to land the job. Next slide, please. So, all of 2020, I went through this. And in the beginning of 2021, I went through the differences between having an in-person interview and a virtual interview. And even though the market is opening up now, you have more companies and businesses that are now welcoming the opportunity to interview in person and interview candidates in person. You still have those companies that are not operating inside of the office. They're operating from the inside of their own homes, which means the recruiters are recruiting and interviewing from the inside of their own homes. So that virtual world is still in existence. So we teach them the difference between a virtual interview. Well, electronic is needed. And it's more than just your phone. Sometimes you need the computer or the laptop. It is remote. It can be from your home. It can be from a coffee shop, but it is remote. It is sometimes it is one way, which means one-way interview is, let's say, for HireVue. If you look at HireVue and the way that platform is set up, it is set up for electronic questions to be thrown at the candidate. And that candidate has about 2 to 3 minutes to answer those questions. You don't talk face to face with a person. You actually talk, basically to a computer, but they're recording your answers. So that, but that has been around for a long time. It's just in 2020, due to the pandemic, it has been brought to the forefront for the masses. And so now you're getting more of those type of platforms, and especially for call center opportunities. You want to make sure that your appearance and your background is up to par. So you want to have a nice virtual background. If your home is not conducive to actually doing a virtual interview or talking to somebody in person. We talk about how to make sure your lighting is correct, your sound is correct, your background is correct. Your cat is not crawling across, or your dog is not crawling across your laptop or your computer or your phone. And then, so face-to-face interviews, you don't necessarily need an electronic device. You typically travel to the business to have that interview. It's of course one-on-one or a round robin. And what round robins are typically group interviews. So you have your normal one-on-one, and you talk with the recruiter or the hiring manager. Sometimes they'll bring you back in for a second or third interview. You'll have a round robin. So you talk to more than one department head, the hiring manager, managers, sometimes the president and CEO. It depends upon the level of the job that you're applying to. Sometimes it depends upon the particular job. So those are the things we typically like to prepare our job seekers or our customers for. And of course, appearance. Whether it's virtual or whether it's face-to-face, you still need to dress to impress, and not just dress to impress. First impressions are always key, from the way that you talk, from the way that you make eye contact, from your handshake. You want to make sure that you are presenting yourself as someone who can represent the brand of that company. So those are some of the things we typically work with our customers on, and that comes from our career coaches here at E&ES, or that comes from our business services representatives. But we work together as a unit and as a team to make sure that our job seekers and customers are prepared for these interviews. Next slide. So again, there are some technology challenges and fears. I went over the 3 tiers earlier. I'm gonna go over them again. There is a digital divide. That 3-tier consists of hardware, number 1. Number 2, access to the internet or lack thereof. Number 3, not knowing how to utilize the hardware, the internet, or the various platforms such as Zoom or HireVue. So we encourage the customers, and this is how we typically do it. We have workshops. I remember doing workshops about this, walking customers and job seekers through this. Download the software platform ahead of time so that you can get used to it. So have your customers and your job seekers download everything so that they can get used to that particular system, okay? Customers must take virtual interviews as serious as in-person interviews. We just said that in the last slide. It's the same thing, whether it's virtual or in-person, you must make sure that you're making a great first impression. It is still important to fully research companies and jobs. That is preparation. In order to land any type of interview, you must prepare for that. You need to have your resume going. And it up to par. That resume needs to match the job description. Okay. We discussed the do's and the don'ts of appearance, camera use, background, etc. And coaching. Here's one of my favorite things as a job developer, aka recruiter, aka I'm in that HR space. So we wear many hats, okay? So the coach is one of those hats, and coaching on how to read cues from employers in a virtual setting. It's one thing to read cues from an employer when you're face-to-face, but you must teach the job seeker how to read cues virtually. That's hard to do if you are not paying attention, if you're focused on your spiel, but not focused on what the actual demeanor of your interviewer is. And that's you paying attention to what he or she is telling you via the interview, or even it could be a screening. It may not be an interview, may be a screening. It's still the same thing. So being able to learn how to read the cues. So I believe that's the end of my particular slides. I thank you, everyone. If you have any additional questions, we're going to answer that as soon as this presentation is over. I'm going to hand it back over to one of my favorite bosses, and I'm not just saying that because he's on here. Yes, I am. Charles, I will give you back the floor. You have the presentation.
Thank you, Amelia, for your expertise on this subject. Next slide, please. Hey, we have one more slide, actually tracking progress and continually evaluating.
We had one more?
We have one more.
Apologies. My apologies. I got so excited. I get so excited, everyone. So the end goal is making sure that your job seekers or your customers, once they have mapped out their plan of action, they are tracking their progress. So if you apply to a job, and that job, and you haven't heard from them in the next 2 weeks, you need to recalibrate, and you need to learn how to recalibrate. And so we teach our job seekers and customers how to map that out, what recalibration actually looks like, and what they may need to do. They may need to reach out to the hiring manager via LinkedIn. They may need to say, okay, where are the skills gaps? Did I meet the criteria that they were looking for in the job description? So it's all about recalibration. If you don't get the interview, let's see what you may have done wrong. When you map that out and you fill in the gaps, you will be able to connect the dots. And so that's one of the things that we teach our job seekers and customers is how to connect the dots and be able to, okay, let's recalibrate now. Let's see what else needs to be done to land this particular type of opportunity. All right, Charles, I am done. Thank you again, everyone. Again, we'll answer those questions shortly.
Assess individuals virtually. I know in the past we used to do things face-to-face. Now, instead of being face-to-face, we have to be virtual in our assessments. So there are a couple ways you can assess customers, and we're going to highlight them here. First and foremost, you can always go to illinoisworknet.com. It's a great site to assess customers and for customers to actually research what it is that they're looking to go into training for, what services they're looking for. Second thing is Khan Academy. That's a free service. The website is listed there on site. We use AMCAT to assess our customers as far as testing individuals, and we use and AMCAT is really Prove It, but it was formerly known as Prove It. So for those who are familiar with Prove It, it's now called AMCAT. So those are the ways we can actually virtually assess our customers. We also, once again, if you're wondering how do we talk to customers, because the phone, we don't want people to have personal phone numbers. Well, we have Google phone numbers. There's ways to virtually assess our customers. So where a lot of people say, I can't, we find a way to say, I can. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone. That's the conclusion of our slides. I want to say thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts for allowing us to speak here on behalf of Employment Employer Services and our CEO, Larry Fitzpatrick, and the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership under the guidance of Karen Norrington Reeves. We want to say thank you for allowing us to speak today. We appreciate you all. And once again, good luck to everybody. And definitely, this is something that we definitely take to heart. So please, let's help as many individuals as you can. Let's help each other. Let's not keep everything guarded. The worst thing I always say in music, music is meant to be shared. I say information is meant to be shared as well. And thank you once again. So the next slide, please.
I think those are all the slides that I have on my end.
Okay. So at this time, for anyone that has any questions, please feel free to put those through the chat, and we will be more than helpful to answer those questions. And we'll be honest with you, if we can't answer those questions, we will find a way to answer those questions, and we will definitely get back to you. So please, in my opinion, no question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Please ask.
And Charles, if you don't mind, I would like to add something in regards to one of the ways in which we as a network can connect. One of the things I have a privilege of doing is working with fellow business services representatives throughout the Cook County Workforce Partnership Network. So when it comes to helping our job seekers and customers land jobs, there are, let's say you want to work in healthcare, or you want to work in IT, or you want to work in manufacturing, there are certain partnership sectors that we work with and we connect with and we partner with to also help find job opportunities for our customers. I think that is very important as it relates to being able to, once we get the job seekers into our WIOA program, being able to leverage the resources that are available to them, not just through employer services, but what we're doing throughout the network. So it's refreshing to be able to go to the IT sector or the healthcare sector or the manufacturer sector or the hospitality sector and say, hey, you have a job opportunity listed that we may not have just yet, or we don't have at all. Would you mind taking a look at this resume for this particular customer and working with them on the particular job that you posted? I believe that this would be a good fit. This customer and candidate would be a good fit for this particular company. I was able 2 years ago to work with an organization called National Able on a Techapalooza and partnering with them on IT job opportunities. And sometimes I will, reach out to them. Hey, I have a customer. I am not adept in IT that much. Could you take a look at their resume? Because I think there is a job description or job posting that you have that I think they would be a good fit for, but I want to make sure that their resume is up to par. Sometimes that having that extra eye and then those extra ears can really, really make a difference in helping our customers and job seekers. So Charles, I just wanted to add that to this particular presentation.
No, it's not a problem. I mean, like I said, we're here to share all the information we can. It's not often we're presented in front of the state, and we definitely want to tell everybody amongst our greatest accomplishments as well as our greatest pitfalls that we've learned during doing virtual processes during COVID-19. So no, thank you again once, Amelia Jackson. And also thank you again, Dennis Bird, for your expertise as well. We appreciate your hard work, and everyone here in Employment and Employer Services. Because of everyone's hard work, we're able to present today. So thank you once again.
Yes, thank you so much to our presenters. I'm seeing a lot of thank yous and great session, great information coming through the chat. And I think Charles and Dennis did a great job of getting in the chat and answering everybody's questions. So I'm not seeing any new additional questions coming through. But I do want to just mention that we will have a brief intermission, if you would like to call it that, before our closing session at 3 p.m. So feel free to grab a snack, use the restroom, get that third cup of coffee if you need it. And then we will have our closing session at 3 p.m. So again, thank you, Amelia, Charles, and Dennis. We really, really very much appreciated the information you shared with us today. And we will virtually see all of you at 3 p.m. for our closing session. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia.